local news leader. Now, live from Buffalo, this is News 4 at 4.
Right now for Election Day recap, the candidates in a key race already declaring victory before thousands of votes are counted.
And keeping a close eye on at least a limited chance for a couple showers the next couple of days. Better chance shows up into the start of the weekend, but it's cooler. How much longer will that last? We'll take a closer look coming up.
Plus, new charges for the woman accused of hitting law enforcement officers with her car during a protest in Buffalo. We'll tell you where the case is headed next. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us on News 4 at 4. I'm Christy Kern. In your top 4 at 4, the 27th Congressional District is back in the spotlight after a special election and Republican primary yesterday. News 4's Chris Horvatich joins us live at the Erie County Board of Elections in downtown Buffalo with the very latest. Chris, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Christy. Chris Jacobs has declared victory in both of those races. The AP has called both of those races in his favor. And as of this afternoon, both of his opponents in the GOP primary have conceded defeat to him. Beth Parlato conceded this afternoon. She issued a statement saying, quote, "Although not victorious, I am grateful for each and every vote, prayer, and supporter." His other Republican opponent in that primary, Stefan Mahailu, conceded last night. The special election is a different story. As for that Democrat, Nate McMurray did not get back to us today, but last night he said he would not concede defeat until every vote was counted. He trails Jacobs by about 31,000 votes after last night's results, but that does not include more than 64,000 absentee ballots that have not yet been counted. That number will increase over the next few days as more absentees are delivered to the boards of elections via mail. Even though there are more ballots to be counted, then Jacobs has a lead. Political experts like former Erie County Democratic Committee Chair Len Lenahan says don't expect to see a McMurray comeback.
The rule of thumb in politics and in basically counting votes is that the absentees very rarely change the outcome of an election unless it is extremely close.
As of right now, the race is not extremely close. Jacobs holds 69% of the counted vote to McMurray's 30%. It is true, however, that of the 36,000 absentee votes from Erie County voters in this race, more than half of them are from Democratic or Working Family Party members, compared to less than 30% from Republican or Conservative Party voters. One thing that is for certain, though, with the concession from Jacobs' GOP primary opponents, it will be McMurray against Jacobs again in November. Beth Parlato remains on the Conservative Party line for the time being in that race. I did speak with Erie County Conservative Party Chair Ralph Larigo about that today. He told me he'll be speaking with Parlato soon about that, adding, quote, "We're going to do the right thing." Of course, Parlato, the concern would be there for Republicans, could potentially take votes away from Jacobs. So the Conservative Party will deal with that and discuss that soon, according to Larigo. Reporting live at the Erie County Board of Elections in downtown Buffalo, Chris Horvatich, News 4.
All right, Chris, thank you. And remember, you can find the most up-to-date election results up on our website. It is WIBB.com. Governor Andrew Cuomo announced a joint travel advisory with the New Jersey and Connecticut states that takes effect at midnight tonight. It says people coming to New York from states with high infection rates must quarantine for 14 days. Governor Cuomo made that announcement this afternoon with the governors of New Jersey and Connecticut. And Cuomo says it will help slow the spread of COVID-19 in our states. States considered to have high infection rates right now include Alabama, Arkansas, Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Arizona, Washington, Florida, and Utah.
We are jointly instituting that travel advisory today because what happens in New York happens in New Jersey, happens in Connecticut. And I think it's right, and I think it's smart.
Well, Governor Cuomo says they will continue to update the list of states with high infection rates on the state's websites. And New York released guidelines for phase 4 of reopening. Some businesses that expected to reopen will need to wait a little bit longer. Phase 4 of reopening no longer includes shopping malls, gyms, or movie theaters. The state will instead update the guidelines as new information becomes available. Outdoor and lower risk indoor activities will be allowed to reopen. That includes aquariums, zoos, and museums at 25% capacity.
We will have our staff wearing all of the appropriate personal protective equipment. We have a really complex, thoughtful sanitization and cleaning protocol that we'll be initiating. And we will be asking guests to adhere to some behaviors as well that will keep us all safe. Guests will be asked to wear masks, and there will be some directional indicators throughout the building guiding guests in a particular direction so we can eliminate cross-traffic.
Well, the Finger Lakes, including Genesee, Orleans, and Wyoming counties, will enter phase 4 on Friday. Western New York is expected to start phase 4 on Tuesday. New charges against the woman accused of hitting 3 law enforcement officers with her SUV earlier this month. Deanna Davis appeared in court today for a felony hearing. The judge is now charging Davis with attempted murder. Investigators say she drove through a crowd of law enforcement officers during a violent protest in the Queen City. 2 Buffalo police officers and a state trooper were hurt in that incident. The case will go before a grand jury. News 4's George Rickards will have more from the courtroom coming up tonight on News 4 at 5 and 6 o'clock. Police arrested 13 people who were protesting that woman's release from jail after police say they refused to leave Niagara Square. They're charged with obstruction of governmental administration, being in the park after 10 o'clock at night, and also sleeping in the park. Police say they asked them to leave several times last night. They say some people were bathing in the McKinley Monument. They also say they confiscated a sword from some of the protesters, and the protesters say they plan to stay there until Deanna Davis was released from jail. Well, phase 1 of police reform is now in effect in Buffalo. Buffalo police officers will now issue a stop receipt, which will explain why people were initially pulled over. People will also be issued fix-it tickets for equipment violations. Meanwhile, community activists are calling for more oversights of Buffalo police. State Assembly Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes says police need to focus less on smaller crimes in communities of color. And Buffalo police are looking for the person who shot 2 people last night. It happened just before 7:30 last night on LaSalle Avenue. Police say the one of the 2 people shot was seriously hurt. We are working to find out how that other person is doing, and you're asked to call police if you have any information. New at 4, 2 people are behind bars this afternoon, accused of breaking into a restaurant in Gasport. Niagara County deputies responded to a call for a break-in at Canalside Inn on Main Street this morning. Police tell us they were looking for an SUV that might have been involved in other burglaries throughout Niagara County. They stopped the SUV after a short chase in Lewiston and say they found evidence from the break-in at Canalside Inn. Michael Stewart and Anna McLaughlin are now facing charges. Police are working to find out if they were involved in the other burglaries. And with growing calls to defund police, one local group is outlining ways the city can spend money that would go to supporting Buffalo police. The Buffalo Niagara Community Reinvestment Coalition wants to start with federal money used to help with COVID-19 recovery. The group wants that money to go to prevent homelessness in minority communities.
Right now, we are facing a crisis that will supersede this COVID crisis. And that is a wave of evictions and foreclosures that will create homelessness levels that we haven't seen since the 1930s in the Great Depression.
The Buffalo Niagara Community Reinvestment Coalition is made up of 13 organizations serving low-income people and minority communities. We're getting a better idea of what the virtual Taste of Buffalo will look like next month. We got a sneak peek earlier today. A number of vendors will participate in Taste Takeout. Special food and beverage deals will be available from July 11th through the following week. Organizers will also have activities for people to take part in virtually on Facebook and Instagram. Organizers say the event is so important to the community, and it wasn't an option to totally scrap it.
And to keep the Taste of Buffalo tradition alive for our 37th year, and hopefully generate some revenue for local restaurants who are financially hurting as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, we had to reimagine the Taste of Buffalo format.
Organizers canceled the Taste of Buffalo last month and made it a virtual event because of the pandemic. We have a lot more information about that virtual event up on our website. It is WIVB.com. The world's largest marathon has now been called off. The New York City Marathon was set to happen November 1st, but organizers announced today the race will not happen any longer because of the pandemic. Coming up next on News 4 Baseball for All. We'll tell you how one organization is looking to expand its unique league to Western New York. And check your tickets. Western New York hits it big with another Take 5 jackpot winner. We'll show you the winning numbers, and we'll also tell you where that ticket was sold.
At William Tire, our focus is motor vehicle accidents. Let us be your #1 choice to call after a car accident. Call the firm with the focus, the firm with the fours.
America, this is our time to shine with spectacular savings at the Hyundai 4th of July sales event. Celebrate all 16 award-winning sedans and SUVs. With more IIHS top safety awards than Honda or Toyota brands, Hyundai Assurance with up to 3 years of complimentary maintenance, and America's best warranty. The Hyundai 4th of July sales event, helping everyone shine a little brighter this summer.
Lease a Tucson for $149 a month or get 0% APR for 72 months and no payments for 90 days. Now, during the 4th of July sales event.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. This summer, we'll be traveling in a cabin where every seat is premium and all baggage flies free. So fasten your seatbelts and enjoy the panoramic views. Nissan is offering non-stop routes to summer.
And now is the best time to get into a new Nissan. Get a low $189 per month lease on the 2020 Nissan Rogue or lease the 2020 Nissan Sentra, just $149 per month.
The smoky scent of backyard grilling, the sounds of big splashes and laughter by the pool, the sweet taste of a cool drink on a hot day. At Tops Friendly Markets, that's our idea of summer. So fire up the grill and pour a cold drink because while this season might look and feel a little different, we're sure it'll taste exactly right. Tops is ready for you all summer long with the best deals in town.
Lombardo Funeral Home is putting an end to high-cost funerals. We provide quality and dedication with traditional funerals starting at
From Kenmore to Clarence, covering all of Western New York, this is News 4, your local news leader.
Organized sports can start practicing again in Western New York on July 6th. And as we look ahead to that, one organization is looking to expand its league to Western New York. Our News 4's Kelsey Anderson tells us how alternative baseball aims to help people with disabilities.
What I did was recruit players from Craigslist and Facebook groups. Sounds safe, right?
Meet Taylor Duncan. The 24-year-old sits at his home near Atlanta telling me how he started his own baseball league with Craigslist players. That league is now growing rapidly across the country.
Growing up, I dealt with a lot of speech issues, sensory issues, and anxiety issues.
Duncan has autism, but when he was young, many of his peers decided he didn't belong on the same playing field as them.
I was encouraged to quit instead of encouraged to stay in there with everybody else.
Duncan realized if he wanted to play the sport he loved, he'd have to create a league of his own. So in 2016, he started Alternative Baseball. Duncan says after high school, there are very few social programs for adults with disabilities. So Alternative Baseball is for anyone older than 15. The organization not only helps players gain athletic skills, but helps them create relationships and communication skills that carry them way beyond the baseball diamond.
Or catching a pop fly, I got it. And then catching it in their glove. You have to communicate that to your team members.
The organization, which started with just 7 players from Craigslist and Facebook, now has teams in 14 states across the country. Duncan hopes to expand into the Buffalo-Niagara region in the next year, giving people here the chance to be included and supported, giving them the chance to finally show what they're made of.
We all want the equal opportunity to contribute and feel like that we are being productive members of society. We want to be supported, but we can't do that if people have preconceived perceptions of what we are capable of and don't give us the opportunities to show what we can do.
Duncan says he's looking for a coach manager who can get the program off the ground here in Western New York. It's a volunteer position. He also needs other volunteer coaches and, of course, players. Those players just need a glove to sign up. All the other gear will be provided. For more information on how to get involved, just go to our website and click on the Found It On 4 tab. In the studio, Kelsey Anderson, News 4.
All right, Kelsey, great story. Thank you. Well, baseball is back. Almost, at least. The Union for Major League Baseball players says they're now headed to their training camps. The MLB commissioner also confirms players will return to the Diamonds. It will be a much shorter season, though. Teams are expected to play 60 games beginning in late July.
Now, your forewarned weather forecast, certified Buffalo's most accurate.
All right, let's take a live look over downtown Buffalo on your Wednesday afternoon, and we have some sunshine out there today, but we can tell a little bit, I think, that the camera is shaking from some wind, and also it's definitely a lot cooler out there today. Let's check in with our chief forward meteorologist, Todd Santos, for a first look at that forecast. Hi, Todd.
Hey there, Christy. You really notice a difference. It feels a whole lot different out there. Now, I have to say this, I'm going to stay off camera for the rest of this hit because I just spilled a ton of water on myself because I'm so excited about baseball. No, I don't know. I just dumped a whole water bottle over. Real life. Hey, this is live TV. Looking out right now, you mentioned the wind, and this shot barely does it justice. The lake has just looked like a tempest this afternoon and through a good stretch of the day today with the bigger gusts. Overnight, I do expect to see, wow, there's even water in my clicker. All right, well, we'll see if it works. Do expect to see some cooler temperatures overnight tonight and in general, quieter conditions as these winds settle down. But right now and through the evening, I do still expect to find some of these bigger gusts, especially near the lake. So keep that in mind. Be careful and mindful, I should say, near break walls and that kind of thing, because there is quite a bit of wave action out there.